And now a huge plot twist. While the world obsessed over central bank digital currencies and surveillance coins, and we should be concerned about them, Trump just pulled the ultimate power move. The Genius Act isn't what the globalists wanted. It's the exact opposite, okay? We're learning now, no programmable money that expires, no tracking every purchase, no social credit stores. Instead, America just created the world's first freedom-based digital dollar framework. Private companies, not government spies, will run the show. That was one of the big concerns, that government is going to be reaching in and spying on all of our transactions. Now, the former SEC chair, Paul Atkins, he calls it revolutionary. Coinbase says they're ready to scale. Senator Hagerty calls it a blow to central planners. Now, are they doing damage control? Or are they actually telling us what it is? Now, it's not just financial policy. It could just be a declaration of monetary independence. Now, a true declaration of monetary independence would be abolishing the Federal Reserve and going back to the gold standard. Now, that's where I stand. Now, has the future of money arrived? Stay tuned. Now, the Genius Act proves that Trump is committed to advancing the cryptocurrencies in the world. But there is another freedom that men need to reclaim. Most guys think that aging drains their testosterone, but the real culprit is something you eat daily, something you've been told is healthy. This one food scientifically devastates testosterone levels, crushing your energy and motivation. Now, it's not junk food or sugar. It's way more unexpected. Sculpt Nation's experts, they have seen men transform by eliminating this one thing: building muscle, burning fat, and feeling energized again. Like Trump's revolutionizing finance, you can revolutionize how you feel. Discover what's killing your testosterone at sculptnation.com/NNN. One simple change changes everything. Now let's find out what people are saying about the Genius Act. Now, if you've been tracking what our coverage of the Genius Act, we've been raising alarm bells. Now, the good news is that a CBDC bill to ban CBDCs is moving through Congress. President Trump has vowed to codify his executive order through Congress to prevent that from ever happening. People have been raising the alarm bells about stablecoins. Marjorie Taylor Greene has even called it potentially the framework for the mark of the beast technology. Now let's hear what people are saying. This is Chris Martinson discussing the Genius Act. Listen.
Ever opened a bank account? Oh, if you've ever opened a bank account, you've probably noticed that it's a big, hefty document, and in there it says stuff like, we can just cancel your account anytime. We can add fees. We can subtract fees. We can do whatever we want. There's all these things. It's not your money once you give it to the bank, right? So then the banks are going to attach all of their own things to these things. So when you get a stable coin, it's going to be like, oh, look, I have a stable coin dollar came onto my phone. I own one of these things now, but you might or you might not. And it's going to have guaranteed, full on guarantee. You're going to have less financial privacy under this than at any point in time. And that was the big deal around CBDCs. Somebody can tell you what you can and can't do with it. They could take it away from you at a flick of a switch, and you'll have no privacy whatsoever. You couldn't possibly spend a stable coin on an old Beanie Baby at a tag sale without the government saying, well, you owe state and federal taxes on that transaction, right? So that's the whole point behind this whole thing. And I'm highly skeptical of it. This is not a Genius Act. This is really a bad day for financial privacy and freedom. But, oh, if you've ever opened a bank.
So heed that warning. Heed that warning. Now, if you don't know what a cryptocurrency is, if you don't know what Bitcoin is, here we have Bitcoin junkies posting this 24 hours ago. They call this the greatest, still the greatest Bitcoin explanation of all time. So if you want to peel back the curtain to understand, join me in watching this.
Blockchain. Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Brown, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Peter Van Valkenburg, and I'm the Director of Research at Coin Center, an independent nonprofit focused on the public policy issues affecting cryptocurrency and public blockchain networks. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the world's first cryptocurrency, and it works because of the world's first public blockchain network. What does Bitcoin do? It's simple. It lets you send and receive value to and from anyone in the world using nothing more than a computer and an internet connection. Now, why is it revolutionary? Because unlike every other tool for sending money over the internet, it works without the need to trust a middleman. The lack of any corporation in between means that Bitcoin is the world's first public digital payments infrastructure. And by public, I simply mean available to all and not owned by any single entity. Now, we have public infrastructure for information, for websites, for email. It's called the internet. But the only public payments infrastructure that we have is cash, as in paper money. And it only works in face-to-face transactions. Before Bitcoin, if you wanted to pay someone remotely over the phone or the internet, then you could not use public infrastructure. You would rely on a private bank to open their books and add a ledger entry that debits you and credits the person you're paying. And if you both don't use the same bank, well, then there'll be multiple banks and multiple ledger entries in between. With Bitcoin, the ledger is the public blockchain, and anyone can add an entry to that ledger, transferring their Bitcoins to someone else. And anyone, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, gender, sex, or creditworthiness, can for absolutely no cost create a Bitcoin address in order to receive payments digitally. Bitcoin is the world's first globally accessible public money. Is it perfect? No. Neither was email when it was invented in 1972. Bitcoin's not the best money on every margin. It's not yet accepted everywhere. It's not used often to quote prices, and it's not always a stable store of value. But it is working, and the mere fact that it works without trusted intermediaries is amazing. It's a computer science breakthrough, and it will be as significant for freedom, prosperity, and human flourishing as the birth of the internet. And Bitcoin is just the beginning. If we can replace private payments infrastructure, then we can replace other private choke points to human interaction as well. Now, why should we want to build more public infrastructure? Why should we embrace blockchains over corporate intermediaries? Why should we tolerate their inefficiencies and work to make them better? Why should we want the pioneers of this technology here in the United States and not fleeing overseas? A simple reason. Because the corporate intermediaries providing today's critical but privately owned infrastructure are becoming fewer, larger, and more powerful, and their failures are increasingly grave. So roughly half of all Americans, 143 million people, had their Social Security numbers exposed to hackers because of a breach at Equifax. The SWIFT network has relayed hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent transactions because of hacked member banks in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Ecuador, and Russia. The FBI suspects now that the largest of these hacks was perpetrated by North Korea. Corrupt, low-level employees at an Indian bank, Punjab National, were able to fraudulently certify SWIFT messages stealing $1.8 billion. It's the largest electronic bank robbery in history. In fact, it's the largest bank robbery in history. In October 2016, an estimated 1.2 million internet-connected devices were hacked and turned into a botnet that for several hours made prominent websites unavailable across Europe and North America, including CNN and Fox News, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Increasingly, physical machines are being connected to the internet to augment their capabilities. They're wired through servers that are owned and maintained by private and trusted intermediaries, the so-called Internet of Things. Pacemakers from St. Jude's Hospital have been hacked. Baby monitors from TrendNet have been hacked. And Jeeps from Jeep have been hacked to the point where they can be remotely commandeered and driven off the road. Now, those vulnerabilities are inescapable in systems that have single points of failure. It doesn't matter if the point of failure is a corporation or if it's a government. There shouldn't be a single point of failure. Similar choke points existed before the internet. If you wanted to deliver a message, you'd have to go through one of 3 television broadcasters or a handful of newspapers. Private corporations are essential, but no critical infrastructure should rely on 1 or 2. The internet.
So that is the explanation of Bitcoin. Here we have the SEC chair, Paul Atkins, praising the Genius Act as a breakthrough for digital assets and market safety. Listen.
President's. I thought this was a really great watershed and thanks to the president for his leadership and the Congress for getting this out and getting that bill to the president's desk for signature. I think this bill the Genius Act is focused on payment stablecoins, and so that's not really within the SEC's ambit of regulation, but it's really for the banking regulators as is appropriate. But the one great thing about this is that for the first time now, the United States government has put its stamp of approval on a very key and important, potentially very important digital asset that will, I think, help to lower costs, lower risks in the market, because we can now move towards an instantaneous almost settlement of payment versus delivery for securities, thanks to on-chain stablecoins. And that will help, I think, innovation and to really get our markets, and to be the best in the world. I thought this was a real.
So there you have the SEC chair. Here is President Trump officially signing the Genius Act into law. Let's see here.
The Genius Act cleared the House Thursday with bipartisan support just a month after passing the Senate. The law does set clear rules for stablecoins, digital tokens that are tied to the value of the U.S. dollar, making it easier for banks and companies to issue them. Now, supporters say the law will boost trust in stablecoins and help bring crypto into the financial mainstream. Now,
here's Senator Bill Hagerty 10 hours ago calling it a win for innovation and a blow to central planners. Listen.
So desperately need. The Genius Act has gained this bipartisan support because it presents common sense rules that protect consumers, promote competition, and foster innovation. It's time we provide the clarity and stability that our country and its innovators so desperately need.
It's going to enable us to take a very positive step in the direction of ensuring that the United States is a positive environment for cryptocurrency technology. Stablecoins is one of these issues that I think the United States can be a leader on.
Today, we're voting on the sixth version of the Genius Act, drafted with input from both Republicans and Democrats. And if senators would like the opportunity to make further modifications of the bill, I encourage them to vote for cloture.
Over the weekend, Democrats walked away, saying there need to be real changes to this bill and that Republicans will not jam us. It would be a real mistake to roll over and give away our votes without fixing this bill.
What she's doing is using a political argument to stir up controversy because she's been focused on the central bank digital currency. By its nature, this is decentralized. She's been opposed to this from the beginning. She fought this in the banking committee, and after close to 4 hours of debate in the banking committee, she was able to hold 4 Democrats on her side, but 5 came over with me and voted for us to put this out of committee.
Every Democrat today just voted shamelessly to stop our debate, to not even allow debate on this bill.
It should have been a historic day for Americans, a historic day for working class Americans, blue collar Americans, to see their financial system democratized.
The question is, can we get past the partisan politics and allow us to actually have a victory? And I look forward to making history, hopefully this week, as we continue to make progress on the Genius Act.
Last week, in a bipartisan vote, the Senate passed the Genius Act.
Tennessee Republican Senator Bill Hagerty, who is the lead sponsor of the bill.
Very enthusiastic about the stablecoin legislation that I've led. We've been working on this for months. We have a strong bipartisan product.
The House passing the Genius Act, that will now head to President Trump's desk.
This is a very big thing, and I want to thank the bill's author, Senator Bill Hagerty, a very good friend of mine. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much, everybody.
And that is history. Now, here we have a question. Are decentralized stable coins actually safe? Let's listen.
To make it nice and clear for... Hi guys, just traveling at the moment. Thought I'd give you a quick update on a few things. Probably the main one is obviously with the Genius Act just coming out. Just wanted to make it nice and clear for folks that may be curious. USDL is actually a decentralized stable coin, and it is not caught out by the Genius Act in the sense that the Genius Act is intended to ensure that stable coins that are actually issued are backed, right? So the likes of USDT, USDC, the intent is to make sure that they are fully backed, and that, from my perspective, is a really good thing. And so the Genius Act in that regard is very good. Very different to USDL, which is obviously a decentralized stable coin that is actually minted from the collateral that's available on the system. And the other thing to bear in mind is Liquid Loans is a lending protocol. It's not a stable coin factory, right? It's not intended to be somewhere that you go to acquire stable coins. It is purely a lending protocol. And once you issue USDL, it is fully backed by the collateral that you're using on the system. And that's a very, very different perspective to stable coins that are minted out of thin air that don't have any backing. So hence a lot of the focus is ensuring that stable coins that are available have been created, such as USDT and USDC, are actually fully backed. And in that regard, we think that's a very good outcome. But just to be clear, we are a lending protocol, not a stablecoin factory.
Oh, and then we have this. This is interesting. Not sure if you saw this. According to the Bank of International Settlements, stablecoins equal a threat to financial stability. The Bank of International Settlements, this is Reuters, the central bank body, delivers stark stablecoin warning. What are they saying at Reuters? Bank of International Settlements warns stablecoin carry multitude of system-wide risks. Risks include monetary sovereignty. Monetary sovereignty? Of course, the Bank of International Settlements would hate that. And EM capital flight. Central banks need to boldly pursue tokenization. Central banks, yeah, they, of course, the international banksters would love to have CBDCs. London, the Bank for International Settlements issued its starkest warning yet on the risk posed by stablecoins and urged countries to move rapidly towards the tokenization of their currencies. The Bank of International Settlements pushing CBDCs. The BIS, often dubbed as the central banker's central bank, outlined its concerns, including stablecoins' potential to undermine monetary sovereignty, transparency issues, and risk capital flight from emerging economies. It comes less than a week after the U.S. Senate passed a bill to create a regulatory framework for U.S. dollar-pegged stablecoins, a move which, if rubber stamped by the House, is expected to fuel a further explosion in their popularity. And yes, the bill did pass. President Trump signed it into law. They state stablecoins are a type of cryptocurrency designed to maintain a constant value, usually a one-to-one dollar peg backed by real-world assets such as U.S. Treasuries or gold. Dollar-pegged coins currently account for 99% of the market, which is estimated to have over $260 billion worth of coins in circulation. Stablecoins, as a form of sound money, fall short and without regulation pose a risk to financial stability and monetary sovereignty, the Bank of International Statements said in an early release chapter of its annual report due to be published on Sunday. Hyun Song Shin, the BIS economic advisor, explained the stablecoins lack the traditional settlement function provided by a central bank with fiat money. He likened them to private banknotes circulating in the 19th century free banking era in the United States. It means they can often trade at varying exchange rates depending on the issuer, undermining the no questions asked principle of central bank issued money. Singleness is either you have it or you don't, Shin said, also warning the risk of fire sales of the assets backing stablecoins if they collapse. Oh, yeah, of course they would be warning that. There is also concern around who controls stablecoins. Tether, who controls stablecoins, currently has more than half of the overall stablecoin market, but quit the EU following the introduction of new rules, which require stablecoin operators to be licensed by the bloc. So, of course, the Bank of International Settlements would be pushing for CBDCs. Here is Coinbase Institution 8 hours ago. The Genius Act is now law, marking a regulatory milestone for stablecoins. USDC is ready to scale in a fully compliant, federally regulated environment, boosting confidence for international use. Let's listen in.
Right? Like, this is why.
Are we on a meteoric rise of stablecoins?
I think that the growth of stablecoins being used in our everyday lives, in terms of people using stablecoins to pay for things online, I think just being utilized for those things, it's going to be massive. We're talking about atomic settlement. You're not required to have multiple entities. I mean, this is part of the adds of the cost, right? Like, this is why things cost so much, because you have like banks and correspondent banks and entities in the middle, all passing money along, and they're all moving ledgers, and they all need to get paid for those services instead of just being on chain.
Are we on a meteoric rise of stable?
So if you have value for this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So is this what winning looks like? While Europe pushes dystopian CBDCs and China tracks every yuan, America, well, they just voted for freedom. Or did they? The Genius Act isn't just legislation. It is a middle finger to the globalists. Private stablecoins, federal framework, and zero government control. So they say there's no expiration dates on your money. There's no blocking purchases they don't like. No social credit tyranny. Is that true? Is it actually legitimate digital freedom backed by American innovation? Well, apparently the USDC is ready. The infrastructure is built. Institutional money already flooding in. Bitcoin advocates are celebrating because this legitimizes the entire crypto ecosystem. Now, the globalists wanted programmed slaves. And what did Trump give us? Well, some believe it's monetary sovereignty. Others warn something darker. Now, the same president they said would destroy the system, well, did he make it freer than ever? While they planned our digital prison, he pushed back against the globalists. So here's the question. Would you convert some of your savings into stablecoins now that they are federally regulated? Yes or no? And you can grab your American badass gear and celebrate if you want to. We got Alligator Alcatraz, President Autopen, MAG Avengers, and you can pick your favorite American badass at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.